we got Ike Taylor on the line here. Going through his career, you had the same thing. We're the same guys. Brady, Roethlisberger, Rodgers. They were constantly, and when you get that guy, it's such a difference maker. So let's bring him in. Two-time Super Bowl champion, Pittsburgh Steelers legend. He is the host of the Believe in Steelers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. It drops every Tuesday on all streaming services, and he joins us now here on the Sports Bash Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Ike, what's going on, man? How are you?
Mike, Hunter, how y'all boys doing?
We are good. We are getting ready for this Super Bowl, and of course, I know when two-time Super Bowl champion like yourself, you probably this week always brings back great memories for you, man. We just had Lofa Tatupo on yesterday, and your team beat his team in that Detroit, and he told me how lousy Detroit was, but I bet you it wasn't so bad for you.
You goddamn right it wasn't. we had a blast. Jerome Bettis was going back home. We went by his mom. Now, picture this. Listen to this, fellas. Picture at least 50 guys going to your mom's house. She's preparing dinner for us. We chill, take a lease, and I'm talking about guys scattered everywhere. Either they on the floor, in the bed, in the kitchen, all from the itis. Itis meaning having so much good food in our stomach. Everybody passed out. So picture grown men passed out at your mom's crib. Picture how good your mom would have felt serving all these guys food, and they all passed out because the food was so good. Mama Bettis had to be in heaven at the time.
Hey, I'm a big man, so I can imagine be a part of all that food. You know, one of your teammates on that team, Barrett Brooks, who does a lot of media, has told the stories of how you guys went out to try to make sure that you got Jerome Bettis back home for that Super Bowl.
Oh, man. I want to talk about an unselfish group of grown men. Okay, so it go like this here. It go 2005, Bussy wants to retire. The Super Bowl just so happened to be in Detroit, where he's from. Okay, guys, whatever goal y'all have, one of these goals got to be Bussy getting a Super Bowl. Let's try to get Bussy a Super Bowl so he can retire in his own hometown, let alone put a Super Bowl on our resume, and that'll put Pittsburgh at 5. Okay, we're going to fast forward to 2010, the one we lost. We wind up getting, oh my gosh, who's the offensive lineman from Dallas? Flozell Adams. So we wind up getting Flozell Adams in 2010, right? We said, guys, let's do this for Flo. We're going back to Dallas for the Super Bowl. I know we got to play Green Bay, but let's give Flozell Adams a Super Bowl in Dallas. How good would that look? We came up short, but that was the mindset in the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room. Like we didn't care. We cared about each other. We didn't care about our own individual accolades. We cared about each other. Now, if you so happen just to ball out, your accolades and your resume just shot up. But at the same time, it was all about your teammate. It was never about you. So we actually tried to get Flozell Adams a Super Bowl 2010.
What is the focus level like during those 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl? Obviously, every game for the 16 regular season games, you're preparing and you go through the film and all. But, leading up to those 2 weeks, I would imagine that the determination and the way that everyone approaches these sessions and with the coaches and these meetings, it's just intensified by so much.
You can't script it. Practices for the Super Bowl is an AFC/NFC championship game. Practices for the Super Bowl is an AFC/NFC championship game. Practices leading up to the Super Bowl. Practices.
By the way, Allen Iverson is not on the phone line with us. It's Ike Taylor, not Allen Iverson. But that kind of highlights what the intensity is. But I want to ask you, Ike, because you mentioned Detroit and you got to go to Bettis's and how cool that was. How about this year, though? Not like Kansas City's practicing at home, and Tampa's the home team, but, it seems like it's going to be such a weird atmosphere. There's only going to be 22,000 people there. Like, that energy of going out there for the Super Bowl, it's got to be unmatched. But can you imagine how that will feel with a half a stadium?
Nah. Because them guys didn't adjust. Them guys, meaning the players, didn't adjust and got used to it. They at first they got used to nobody really being in the stands. So depending on when you play, what state you play in, the capacity of that. Like, so it's nothing new to the guys. One thing you got to understand about professional sports, them guys been adjusting. It's hard for us in the everyday life to adjust. Just picture how you have to adjust as a professional athlete. Whether it's basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, people just have been adjusting to entertain. So they're adjusting to entertain, so we still have jobs.
Right.
Picture that. So sports adjusting, so we as analysis, we as media people still have some kind of job. Picture that.
And by the way, Ike Taylor is the host of the Believe in Steelers podcast. It's available every Tuesday on all streaming services.
What amazes you most watching Tom Brady continuing to do this at his age?
6th-round draft pick. Fellas, I need an honest opinion. Think of all of the quarterbacks you like. What round they probably went in?
Not the 6th.
Just think about it.
Right.
Just think about it. All the quarterbacks you like, all the quarterbacks you want to argue with other people in 1st round, 2nd round draft, man, win the 6th round.
So this is like one of those stories. This is one of those stories that, like, when he's done, because he's gonna, he says he wants to keep on going, that we will not appreciate what we watched for a couple of years after he's done.
He's what you teach your kids on what should happen in life. Nothing ain't guaranteed. Life will be difficult. It's on you to make or break or decide how your life will be. And that's hard work, taking care of your body, work ethic, and not letting other people, regardless of what they say, decide what your life is about. Just think about what you tell your kids if you got a kid. Ain't nothing gonna be easy. Adversity gonna make you or break you. One or two.
Ike Taylor's with us.
For granted.
I love it, man. Great message. And I'd like you to tell, like, your story. You said, hey, 6th round. You're a 4th-round pick, but a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and I'm sure you have a pretty cool story on your journey to the NFL.
I walked on, played running back my junior year, moved over to cornerback my senior year. Got drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 4th round. 12 years later, 2 Super Bowls. That's my story. I played running back my junior year, and I played cornerback my senior year.
So what was the reason you made the switch from running back to corner? How'd that go?
Coach Gary Bartell was, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you ever heard of a guy called Charles Peanut Tillman.
Sure.
Yeah, so he was on the other side of me. Hopefully he'll make it into the Hall of Fame. So Peanut went, 35th pick to Chicago, 2nd round, and I went up going 4th round, 125th pick in the 4th round. But man, we had a good secondary. I was the shortest out the secondary, and I'm 6'2". So between safeties and corners, I was the shortest guy in the secondary. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, that was my story, bro. Walked on. I was a walk-on, so I walked on, running back my junior year. Coach Gary Bartell, and this is when Coach Ricky Bussell came from Virginia Tech, and he just got Vic drafted, or Vic went high. Just got Vic drafted. He was like, "Oh man, you're gonna play running back for me." for sure I see you to the league. I said, nah, coach, I'm playing corner. He was like, why? I said, I think I got a better shot of playing corner in the league. So we wound up doing that. Had a top 5 secondary we had a top 5 secondary in college football. And
That's
I was
amazing.
the shortest.
It
I was
really
the
is.
shortest.
You mentioned with Tom Brady.
So, nothing was never handed.
Yeah, no doubt. You mentioned with Tom Brady taking care of your body and how important that is for him. Well, there's a lot of 16 games next to your name when you look down the career. What did you do while playing to make sure that you were available?
So nobody would never outwork me. So there was no such thing as an off season for me. Tom Brady is more on another level as far as not drinking, not eating meat, being a vegetarian, avocado, ice cream, got a whole team. Like, Tom Brady really treats his body like a temple, if you know what I'm saying. He's not putting nothing in his body to harm his body, to delay his body on what he's trying to reach. And that's obviously he's trying to get to 45 to play. After 45, I'm sure him and his family decide what he want to do at 46. But Tom Brady is doing everything he needs to do to at least give his body a chance. Mentally, he's there. But, the body can take a quick drop ASAP. So he's doing everything he needs to do to give his body a chance. Me, I didn't. I burnt both candles. I burned it at the top and the bottom. You know what I'm saying? So that's now 12 is a long time for the league. But if I would have took a Tom Brady approach, I probably would have did a Darryl Green all day.
By the way,
I didn't.
Ike Taylor, 2-time Super Bowl champion. They beat Seattle, and then the second game was the game that you beat Kurt Warner and the Cardinals in that game, and you were kind of a focal point in that game. Late in that game, Fitzgerald had that catch. You were caked on him, and he makes that catch in the end zone, but you guys come back and win 27-23 in that game. And, of course, that's a game Ben Roethlisberger's the quarterback of that game. Where do you we're talking about Brady? What's Roethlisberger's future looking back at 39 years old? Do you think he still has time left in him, or are you watching? Are we watching the end of another era? Because it looks like Breeze and Rivers are done. What about Roethlisberger?
Excuse me. I think he should shut it down. I think Ben, Breeze for sure, is going to make it to the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
2-time Super Bowl champion. He won me that Tampa Super Bowl. Or won all of us that Tampa Super Bowl. That last ride was between Big Ben and Santonio Holmes. Them two connected like no other on that last drive. And you saw the historic throw to Santonio Holmes in the back of the end zone in the corner. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I can tip my hat off to. Now, the 2005 Super Bowl, I wound up catching a pick in the 2005 Super Bowl. The defense was historical in that 2005 and that 2009 Super Bowl, if you know what I'm saying. But I think 7, man, I think it's time for 7 to go on and let it go. And the reason why I think so is because of the mobility part.
Yeah.
And the mobility part of 7 isn't how it used to be. You want to talk about toughness? I don't think there is a tougher quarterback. From the injuries I've known 7 to play with. 7 played with a linebacker injury, offensive lineman injury, a D lineman injury. 7 to play with some injuries. They just said Drew Brees had, the punctured lung and the bruised ribs. I don't know how many times 7 had that. I don't know how many times he had that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't talked about. So I only think a few people can actually play and start and be a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. He is the epitome of a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. Between him and Terry Bradshaw, you're going to come and go, is what I want to say. Now, I think he should retire because if you look at the AFC North, and if you just look at the league in general, you got to be somewhat mobile. You have to be somewhat mobile. You know, so if Seven comes back, Seven got to understand, man, he got to do everything in his power to be more mobile than he was last year.
Right. Great
to
stuff.
At least give him and his team a chance.
Very good stuff, Ike Taylor, and two-time Super Bowl champ. By the way, that second Super Bowl was in Tampa, which is a lot more fun than Detroit, I'm imagining. You guys probably had a good time down there. He's Ike Taylor. He's the host of the Believe in Steelers podcast. It's available every Tuesday on all streaming services. They give listeners an exclusive look inside the NFL and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Ike, we appreciate you taking out a couple minutes of your day, man. Appreciate you.
Mike Hunter, appreciate the invite, bro.
All right, Ike Taylor, everybody here. Great stories, great stuff.